How's it going, you spicy young individuals? Welcome to a new episode of Inside IUE Sports. I'm your host, Travis Lang, and I'm here terrorizing athletes as I usually do throughout this show. The first victim today is hailing from Wayne County. This is Jessica Swimm. She's a sophomore here at IU East, technically a freshman based on eligibility. And Jessica, you are the second volleyball player I think I've interviewed so far this year, so are you terrified?
I'm a little nervous, a little bit.
Hey, that's okay. So we've got a lot to talk about. This is your first time on the show. So first of all, just tell me about how you got involved with volleyball and how you ended up at IU East.
Well, I started playing volleyball when I was like 4 years old, and I only got to play at that age because my mom was the coach, so I started playing like a year early. And I played there till I was, I think, 8, and then I went to Montana. And then I switched to Kim's club, Infinity, which is where I met her, and now I'm here.
What was your first impression of Coach Kim compared to now, as you see her as a coach? How was her coaching style compared to other coaches that you've had in your past?
I just really love Kim as a coach. I love her coaching style in general. When I played with her in club, I'd say that she was a little bit more laid back, because when I got here, I feel like she was all of a sudden just serious all the time, and I was like, oh, she loves jokes, she loves joking around, but I feel like there was just a little bit of a change from club to now.
And that's kind of funny too, because I've interviewed her before with assistant coach Keen, and they've both been joking and having fun, and you see that a lot of times too during the actual games. But it's interesting to hear that she can be serious sometimes.
Yeah, she can, especially when we're not doing so well at practice.
And how often does that happen?
Probably too often, too much.
That's fair. But at least you got through this season here. 2020 was a little bit weird. That was your first season officially on the team. Talk to me a little bit about that. How was it to transition from playing just a weird schedule with COVID to then playing in a schedule with COVID that was mostly normal? Was there a big difference?
There were a lot more games than I originally thought there were. And I feel like this year having fans has kind of made a difference, at least for me. I actually watched Reese's video, and I heard her say that it kind of depends on the person for whether or not you feed off the energy of the fans, and I feel like I do that, where I feed off the energy of other people, and so that kind of has helped me.
And apart from having more games compared to what you thought of, how was the change between playing high school volleyball and club volleyball versus playing in college?
I feel like playing high school and club, it was more like you're just playing for fun. You're just doing something after school, playing a sport. But here I feel like I'm playing with more of a purpose. I have a goal in mind. It's almost just more serious. It's still fun. I love playing, but it's just it's more goal-oriented.
And what are some goals that you have for your career here at IU East?
I've always wanted to be an All-American, and right now my goal is to move up the list of the All-American. I want to keep getting that award, but I can't do it without my teammates and my team, my coaches, and everything. So I just hope everything kind of works out.
We'll get to that All-American part in a second. But before we get to that, I just wanted to talk about your role on the team, because we have so many clips that we're about to show about how you've gotten so many kills and you're just a great offensive player. How do you describe your role and how you fit into the IU East scheme?
A pin is where you kind of play on the left front and the right front. So you're on both pins, the antennas. You kind of get to play both sides, and it's different from the middle, where you play more defense. You play off-block defense. You're not blocking everywhere like our middles do.
So you find yourself as more of an outside hitter compared to being in the middle or playing in back row, essentially.
Yeah, I think of myself kind of more as an outside hitter than anything, but I'm able to play other places too.
Yeah. So do you ever find yourself having any weaknesses, anything you'd like to improve on when it comes to being in the rotation and playing in different areas?
I would like to improve on pretty much everything. in high school, I wasn't really a back row player. I didn't really get to play that much in the back row. And then here, I play like 6 rotations. I have to play back row. I have to play defense. And that's kind of been the biggest change for me, is like having to like change my mindset of like going from front row to back row. It's different than like playing 3 rotations in the front row and then getting to come off and then getting to like reset. Like you just don't get that time anymore.
But obviously it's been a great improvement because you're leading stats on IU East, especially in the kills category. What's going through your head every time you wind up to slam a ball down like that? Like, do you ever have an inner monologue, or do you ever think about what you're about to do before you swing?
Most of the time my mind is kind of blank, but I feel like it's more muscle memory than anything, and I just, if I think anything, I'm like, oh, I hope this scores, and like just kind of hope and pray that it works. Like, I don't really think a lot.
But I mean, regardless, you still have so many fans to support you. I've talked with your parents a couple times. They've come up to me, and I've seen them at many games. What are their thoughts on your journey throughout playing volleyball throughout your life?
I know they're very proud of me. They've told me that a lot recently. And I don't know, they've just put a lot of time and effort into like getting me to where I am today. They drove me to like all my practices, like all my tournaments, everything, and I don't know, they just keep pushing me, and like no matter like what I do, no matter what I achieve, they just keep saying like, you can do better than that. Like, not in a negative way, but like they just know that I can do more.
And you've done quite a lot because you've made All-American twice. In 2 back-to-back seasons, you made All-American. And usually some people might ask you, oh, how do you feel? Why do you deserve to have All-American? But I'd rather ask you this. What are some defining moments in your career that you would put forward to say, hey, this is proof that I'm an All-American?
Well, I've played other sports and like all throughout my life, and I feel like every time I've had to choose sports, it's happened a lot actually, where they both were taking up a lot of my time and I ended up having to choose one over the other, and volleyball I just always chose volleyball. I chose it over gymnastics and cheer and basketball and track, and just I always felt like it was, not that I was just like better at that sport and I liked it more, but like, and I guess I just always had a feeling that I could do well in this sport.
So you chose volleyball instead of volleyball choosing you, essentially.
Yeah.
And from that, do you have any games in your IU East career so far that come to your mind when you think about some, highlights or crowned achieving moments?
I liked our game against Midway this year. That was one of my favorite games because it just felt like our whole team was kind of just like flowing together, and I didn't feel nervous at any point in time that we were ever going to lose, and we all just kind of like worked together, and everything was just feeling really nice. But then I also really enjoyed our West Virginia Tech game because everything wasn't flowing nice then, and we still like came together in the end and won and everything.
So looking ahead from volleyball, you're a sophomore right now, you're going through classes. Hopefully most of them are maybe in person or?
Yeah.
So with that in mind, first of all, what's your major and what are some career goals that you have as you continue studying and pursuing your education?
I'm a biology major, and I'm planning on going to physical therapy school after this and then getting certified for dogs. So I'd be a canine physical therapist.
So like a vet, but physical therapy oriented?
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Okay, I think that makes sense. I've never really heard about that. Is that like a newer field, or is that something you were just always interested in?
I hadn't really heard of it either until I was kind of like researching jobs, trying to pick a major, and I came across that one, and I just kept thinking about like how perfect that would be for me because I love dogs. Like that's just one of my passions, and I just think it would just work out really well for me.
So with all of this in mind, I want to ask you one final question. Do you have any tips for students who are in high school, moving on to college, when it comes to picking up a sport and learning through their education? How can they better prepare themselves for a transition like that from high school to college?
I would say that it's really all about like your balance between like your schoolwork and sports and your family life and your friends. It's all about just balancing everything out in your time. And yeah, I don't know what else. I feel like you asked another question.
No, that was it.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Jessica, for joining us here on the show. Good luck in the off season and good luck for the rest of your career and education.
Thank you.
We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.